The Sydney Harbour Bridge is one of Australia's great icons. It's there with Uluru, with the Sydney Opera House, with Bondi Beach as one of our quintessential symbols of ourselves. It's gone beyond the point of being an engineering landmark to being a national icon. It was engineered to the highest standards, and that's reflected in the fact that it's taken 80 years for us to get round to maintaining the deck. The work that's happening now is needed to ensure that the bridge lives up to its maximum use life. Now that's going to be measured in centuries.
The grand old dame, the Sydney Harbour Bridge, is having a major facelift. The fact is that, in particular, the waterproofing was affecting the road surface, and so stripping it back to the original concrete that was laid in the 1930s, putting down a proper waterproofing membrane means that the surfaces put over it in future will hopefully hold up a bit longer.
The waterproofing we're using on the bridge approaches is fairly special. It's the same sort of waterproofing they use to waterproof dams. We're really looking forward to basically putting the bridge back into a great shape, and hopefully it'll last quite happily another 80 years.
I think people really understand the need to maintain such important infrastructure and as an icon of the Harbour Bridge's status.
We've never closed the Harbour Bridge for this duration ever in the history of it.
This project's been run very well, it's been planned well, and when you plan big projects well, they usually go well.
We've been putting trial patches on the bridge, trying to get the right material, the best asphalt, the best waterproofing for the last couple of years. We believe we've got the best material, we believe we've got the method down pat, and we believe we've put an enormous number of resources on the bridge to make sure that we can get it done in the time allowed.
However, there's always the unknown, and the weather's the unknown in this case.
Safety is our #1 priority, so whilst this is a very exciting project, we are very concerned that people's adrenaline will take over and forget the basics. So we are just stressing to people we've got plenty of time, we're going to take our time, we're going to do the job properly, and we're going to do it safely.
From what I can see, there's about 2 years in the planning, if not a lot longer here, a lot of other information as well. So from Roads and Maritime Services, I'd like to thank everybody in. This is a whole of Transport for New South Wales cluster effort. The primary objective is safety, and I think that's #1. We probably need to keep that in our mind at all times. And I guess the second one is the outcome of the project.
We will be keeping in touch with the weather people over the weekend. Basically what we've got is a weather pulse, they call it, coming down from Queensland. We are expecting there will be some showers early on Saturday. There is a chance of a thunderstorm late on Saturday. If that happens, obviously we stop work for worker safety. They're talking about intermittent rain, which is half an hour to 45 minutes and moving around the city.
The possibility of thunderstorms on the Saturday night will cause us some grief. So if that turns out to be a high probability, then we'll rejig our program to make sure we do the priority work first. At this stage, we're confident we can do the works as planned.
There's quite a lot of float in the program, but there's quite a lot of float in the program, it would appear, for very good reason, because there are a lot of uncertainties. So it could end up being quite tight on the weekend, but the main thing is to get it open for Monday morning. The traffic implications, if we don't reopen on Monday, are obviously huge. So whatever happens with the weekend and with our construction schedule, we will be able to have the road reopened by Monday morning. Is that correct?
We shall open on Monday morning.
My decision is that we proceed with the work as planned. Do you need to send something out? You need to. You just did? Okay.
In terms of planning, it's been a long exercise with the Transport Management Centre and other transport agencies to ensure we get the best movement of people around Sydney during this closure.
Well, we've actually gathered down prior to the work starting down at part of the ports land to assemble all the guys and the different teams together and discuss the project. And this is our opportunity to explain to the individuals that are working on the job the different unique parts of the job.
I do need for the safety rules to be observed and strictly observed.
So we can stress the safety aspects and give them the opportunity to ask us questions if there's anything that they're unsure about what's expected from them.
let's enjoy the job. It is a unique thing, so it'll be something we can tell our kids and perhaps grandkids later on.
My grandfather was a riveter on the bridge when they first built it, and it just seems kind of ironic that 80 years later his grandson's closing it.
We've got our program, and the program is pretty challenging, but we have given ourselves enough time between the different activities so we don't put ourselves under undue pressure, and which then can compromise the safety of the works. As the Traffic Management Centre closed down the Sydney network, they will give us the opportunity of moving this equipment up onto the Western Distributor in readiness to move onto the bridge deck when we finally get full access, which we expect about midnight. What we have here assembled is actually some of the profiling equipment, which is the cold milling machines. We also have all the trucks that are to be utilised for the first phase of the work, which is the removal of the asphalt.
As you can see by all the vehicles we've got here for the opening round of the profiling, is basically making sure each and every one of these trucks and floats, bobcats, everything, are in the right position when they need them. We bring them all up in convoy, making sure all the northern section of the guys are all in one group so they can start.
It is a massive project. This will probably be one of the biggest single night projects that I'd say the country's ever seen. We have over 75 pieces of plan up there and over 120 people just for the milling operation. There's never been a job that I can think of that's had that much gear and that many people all in the one place at the one time. Basically, the profiler machine has a large drum underneath the machine with probably about 300 cutting tips on it, tungsten tip, and the side of the machine has side plates that register the level of the road, and basically the machine cuts to whatever level we dial in. We've had cores taken along the length of the bridge, about 3,000 cores, to ascertain the depth of the asphalt, and then we basically go through and we hit them numbers and clean up the asphalt down to the existing concrete.
I feel pretty privileged to be working on the bridge tonight. Yeah, it is an Australian icon. Worked on many roads before, but nothing like this one first, so yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Real big privilege to be on the bridge tonight.
I looked after the milling on Anzac Bridge and Tom Ugley's Bridge, and basically they were training, I guess, for this kind of job. You know, that was the rehearsal. This is the tip of the iceberg, as they say. The actual rest of the iceberg has all been in the preparation beforehand, and there's been a lot of people behind the scenes to make all that happen. Safety on this job has been the most paramount thing. I'd say it probably 10 to 20 times more important than any other job, just because of the sheer number of people and machinery in such a tight area at one time.
Well, we've got the whole industry basically here. Base Course Management itself is the largest profiling standalone company, and Sydney Road Profiling is a asphalt profiling company. We all work together to keep RMS in New South Wales happy. We've also got a working relationship that, yeah, if you need help, I help you, and if I need help, you help me, which has made it a lot easier to coordinate this job.
Competitors are coming together as a team. It's really been an industry job. One of my operators was due to have a baby actually today, and we were all a bit nervous about whether he was going to be able to stay for the duration, but 5 o'clock on Friday the 13th, his little baby boy came, and I had a phone call about 6 o'clock, and he said, "Guess what, Matt?" I said, "What?" He goes, "The baby's come." I said, "That's excellent news, Anthony." He goes, "You know what that means?" I said, "What's that?" He goes, "I can work on the bridge unhindered now." So 5 o'clock in the morning, he became a father for his second child, and 8 o'clock at night, he was here ready to start work.
The team is doing extremely well. We've had a bit of wet weather earlier today, but it seems to have gone away now. We've stripped off all of the asphalt. We're back to the concrete. We've cleaned up the concrete, and we're now in the process of starting the waterproofing layer on the southern approach and shortly the main approach, the main deck of the Harbour Bridge. So it's going according to plan, it's going very well. And the weather is now enabling us to spray the waterproofing.
We specialise in waterproofing and polyurethane membranes. Don't usually do road decks or bridge decks, normally it's water reservoirs and that sort of things.
We are actually using a polyurea type waterproofing, and it's actually a three-stage process where we need a concrete primer, then we have our waterproof layer, then we have another primer to stick the waterproof laying to the asphalt layer.
So the primer is basically to seal the concrete.
We apply that with our airless spray machines, which go through a fed roller. So we actually roll that process on, so it actually gives the concrete a good seal before we then put the polyurea on.
The second stage is the most important stage. That's the actual waterproof membrane itself. That's spray applied via the Graco XP machines that we've got. We have 6 of those machines that we spray the membrane on with. We apply that at 2.25 millimetres thick. The third layer is essentially an adhesive, a glue, to bond our polyurea, our waterproof membrane, to our fourth layer. The fourth layer are the pellets. When the asphalt goes down, it melts these pellets that we're putting down and provides a bond between the asphalt and the membrane. From our perspective, the biggest challenge with this site from a work practice point of view is the simple fact that we're working in an area where we've got traffic and vehicles and machinery moving around us. Typically, in most waterproofing situations, we don't have that challenge, so just making sure that we've got everyone keeping in areas where they're meant to be and keeping safe.
In the middle part of the bridge, which is really from pylon to pylon, we've been using our more conventional system, which is a hot spray seal.
To place the 5,000 square metres that we'll be spraying today in the course of a couple of hours. We use recycled car tyres, so it's a recycled product that goes onto the bridge deck itself. It's around about 18% crumb rubber, which aids to the integrity of the membrane itself.
As part of the bridge resheeting work, we're installing some loop detectors, is what we call them, into the pavement. They're actually put in underneath the pavement and the pavement put over the top.
They're an induction loop system which counts and classifies cars and also runs back to the SCAT system which controls the contraflow traffic on the Harbour Bridge.
We can sense all these different things so we know what we need to do in terms of manage the operation of the road network.
Well, we're actually going pretty well, and we got caught out about 9:30. We had a storm, and it was quite unexpected. We've been in constant contact with the Bureau of Meteorology, and they were actually indicating to us that we were not going to have any real issues till about midnight. So we'd actually had planned to finish off that section on the southern end, and we would have been in a great position today to actually complete the asphalt on program. What's happened is we got caught with the storm. We've actually had to stop, and we now have to try and catch up the works today, but we are confident we will still meet the 5 o'clock opening for tomorrow morning.
While they're on that bridge surface themselves, that's where I've got to look after them and make sure that everything moves smoothly, both the bus lane traffic and also our own construction crews. Make sure they can both work together and not interfere with each other.
We're comfortable that we've got enough contingencies in place to make sure whatever we open up on Friday night, we will close up before early mornings on Monday morning.
It was always our strategy to have all our transport and traffic going in one direction from south to north. But because if we get caught in a shower, on the southern approach we're actually going uphill. If we get caught in a shower, the water builds up immediately in front of our machinery.
If you find something on the move that does work better, we'll have a quick meeting, discuss it, make sure it's going to work. All our traffic controllers on the same page, will advise them of what's now going to be happening.
So what we're doing now, we'll reverse our traffic direction. We'll actually pave down the hill.
We are involved in the asphalt paving, so we have to organize all the gears, all the equipments that we need, and a lot of contingency plans been put in place. We have got spare machines, basically double the amount that we need, and also with weathers, if we can't do it straight away, we're going to have 2 crews working to make sure that we finish on time.
Well, our real final milestone was to make sure we had asphalt there and the line marking complete by 5 AM. So that's what we did. We achieved that.
The work that was done last weekend was just exceptional. It vindicated Mike's team that they had there. Some of the best contractors from across the state.
The weather was actually quite unexpected, and whilst we'd spoken constantly to the Weather Bureau, the final outcome was sort of quite different to what we were led to believe to happen. We actually vacated the site for about 8 hours, which meant that we had to go back and re-dry parts of it and then continue with the waterproofing early hours Sunday, which then had a knock-on effect for the asphalt works.
We didn't do exactly what we wished to do last weekend. In some instances it was different, but the innovative and cooperative way that it was done through Mike and his teams and the coordination with Phil down at the Traffic Management Centre just gave us a terrific result.
The southern approach was always the priority, and that's where all the efforts were put in on Saturday. So as the program had to be adapted, we reallocated our resources to make sure that that was completed.
We are in a position with a real chance to get the second half done this weekend.
We do know that there will be some rain on the weekend. We can strip asphalt in the rain and we can lay asphalt in the rain. The waterproofing, however, is a little bit more complicated and we need dry weather for that. We don't know what next weekend is going to be like. After some consideration, we've decided we're going to go ahead. If there's the slightest risk to any of our workers, we will shut things down.
I think what we'll do is make a call in about an hour or so. Are your guys in a position to have a break now? You know, you've been on site, what, for nearly 3 hours, haven't you? Well, I'd love to say we planned for the shower to assist our wash down, but unfortunately, we were actually prepared that area for the polyurea. We'd started doing the concrete primer, then we've actually had the shower, and unfortunately we had to suspend the works for a short time. What is very reassuring here is that we've got a few contingency plans and we've got the ability to recover, and I'm confident we'll still achieve our objective of actually waterproofing the deck and getting the asphalt back down. Once it clears, we'll bring back the heaters, we'll dry it, and we'll continue on.
These are Wirtgen heater machines, HM4500, which are used to dry back the pavement so an epoxy layer can be applied to the bridge deck. They work on infrared heaters. As you can see, there is a large gas vessel that runs on LPG.
The message to the people of Sydney is thank you for last weekend. Your efforts were fantastic, but please don't relax, because there are more people back at work, more people home from holidays, more people in the city. Please use the public transport. There are extra buses and there are extra trains, so don't relax because you did such a fantastic job last weekend. We hope that this is the last weekend that it will happen.
You know, we do expect traffic issues on the weekend, and if that message doesn't get through, that's the challenge.
Okay.
So we just need to hold our nerve.
We were closing Australia's busiest road corridor. That has not happened before, and hopefully it won't need to happen again for a lot of years yet. It was essential that the media and marketing campaign was thorough. It was essential that we got the message out. We started looking at what we could do around 5 months before we knew that the bridge was going to be closed. We needed to identify all of the people that we needed to contact.
One of our strong focuses has really been to get in touch with people who are likely to visit Sydney through January.
We had constant messaging throughout the campaign, interviews, radio grabs. We actually had saturation to the point where I was hearing, oh no, the Sydney Harbour Bridge, it's closed, we get it. But that from a media perspective was fabulous because it meant that people were getting sick of the messaging more so than they could complain that they hadn't heard it.
For the first time in its 80-year history, the Sydney Harbour Bridge will be closed for maintenance.
The bridge will be closed for up to 3 weekends in January.
Use the M7 or try Ride Bridge. We're told to avoid the city or use public transport. Road crews need 2 weekends to complete the job. The work will be done on the weekends of the 13th to 16th, 20th to 20th.
96% of people surveyed were aware that the bridge was closed. I would say that probably 70 to 80% would be phenomenal awareness. So 96% was really a tribute to the entire communication team. The infrastructure communication team actually ran the community consultation program. They did a wonderful job. They door knocked every household in the area. Anyone that was likely to be affected by the odour or the noise was door knocked and spoken to personally.
This is actually a huge campaign for us. It's probably the biggest one that I've ever worked on. It is unprecedented that we've closed the bridge for this length of time.
Some of the stuff that we've done to get the message out is we've developed press advertising, we've developed radio and online advertising, which is the core stuff, but we've also developed flyers that we've handed out at various locations throughout Sydney at train stations. In total, we've probably handed out about 250,000 of those.
So far the response has been really good. People really appear to have listened to the media campaigns and to the message that's gone out.
This is the biggest infrastructure project in terms of impact I think that I've ever been involved in. The Joint Operations Centre is a multi-agency command centre with public transport, road and maritime services, transport for New South Wales Police. We oversee the management of the actual roadwork today itself. It provides a whole of government approach to managing the impact of that event. Traditionally, January is one of the quietest traffic periods across Sydney region. We looked at a number of dates across the calendar. We then looked at the traffic profiles across Sydney during the rest of the year and identified that January was still the quietest period to proceed, keeping an eye on the weather. January is a good period, universities are off, TAFE is off, people still on school holidays. As soon as you start to get traffic issues, I'll let you know.
This has really been a whole of government and definitely a whole of Transport New South Wales project.
We needed to engage the other transport agencies as part of the new umbrella that we're all under to ensure that we had the extra services for people on buses and in trains. That worked really, really well.
The level of cooperation across the agencies has been particularly good, and that's probably been one of the pleasing aspects of the whole exercise.
We've still got line marking to do, but for all intents and purposes we're finished. I feel really satisfied. It's been a really interesting project and I'm very proud of what the guys have achieved.
2.5 days of rain in 2 weekends, yet they still managed to deliver it. The extra yards that the contractors and the people involved in this went over the 2 weekends was just incredible.
When we've had breakdowns or shortages, crews from other contractors have come in to help out, which is testament to the spirit of this work.
Very encouraging, and whilst we've had to keep adjusting the program, all our industry partners, our own internal workforce were able to reallocate their resources to obtain more resources just to make sure we met our deadlines.
Everyone knew what had to be done, and it didn't matter whether it was their company or someone else's, and we're very proud to see that.
This is one of those things that you'll remember 20, 30 years from now and say to people, I was there when we closed the bridge and resurfaced it.
Safety on the project was very good. I was very pleased that everyone looked after each other and we've had no incidents at all. And that's bearing in mind we've had up to 450 people involved directly on these works.
This has been a wonderful project. Everything's really gone extremely well. I couldn't fault the enterprise of either the contractors we use or our own people. The surface of the bridge is as good as it can be. It's got a very good ride surface. It's in magnificent condition now, and that I think is why a lot of the people working on this project are very proud that they've been involved in it.
The workers on the bridge, they're part of this magnificent achievement just as much as the guys who built it. They're taking on the legacy and pushing it forward into the next century of the bridge's life.
There's not too many people in Australia that can say I've worked on the Sydney Harbour Bridge.